Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pieces of China, a series that tells the story of China one object or place at a time, or idea at a time. I'm Dinda Elliott. I'm the Director of Programs at China Institute, and we are so delighted today to have with us an amazing conservationist who is also a former colleague of mine, Rose Niu. Rose is the Chief Conservation Officer at the Paulson Institute, which has been doing amazing work led by her on helping China work on saving its wetlands and developing a national park. We'll hear about that. And Rose has an amazing background in conservation in China. She was the founding director of the Nature Conservancy China's work office in China. She began her work in Yunnan, and Rose is from Yunnan originally and is from the Naxi minority, ethnic minority. And Rose is going to share with us today the Naxi culture's fascination and connection with nature and how that connects to the work that she's been doing. So we're so excited to have her. Rose, please turn on your camera and join me. And welcome, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you, Rose. It's really an honor.
Thank you so much, Dinda. Good afternoon, everyone.
Great to
thank you for this opportunity to talk about my hometown, my traditional culture, and my work. It's a really great pleasure and honor.
Great, so great. It's such a thrill to be able to continue working with one of my favorite former colleagues. So great to have you, Rose. So we also have some wonderful slides that we're going to show while Rose is talking, so you can get a little sense of the places and the people she's talking about. But Rose, so you started your conservation career in Yunnan, and you're native Naxi yourself. So from one of the many ethnic groups in that province, tell us a little bit about Naxi traditions and the traditional script that we're looking at here.
Thank you. I was born in Lijiang in northwest corner of Yunnan province. Lijiang in Chinese means beautiful river, as you know. It's located in upstream of Yangtze River. And I grew up in a traditional courtyard house in the old town of Lijiang. And actually my hometown, old town of Lijiang, was listed as a World Cultural Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1997. Naxi is one of the 26 minority ethnic groups in Yunnan. There are about 300,000 people, Naxi people, living mostly in Lijiang, but also some other areas near Lijiang. Our ancestors developed some great cultural traditions represented by Dongbao culture, Dongbao religion, and also pictographic written language showed here in the slides. Dongbao religion is a primitive religion with very deep ancient roots in animism and also shamanism. Mm-hmm. So we believe in nature, believe in many different gods, which I will talk more later.
So when you say animism, I mean, I can see some, in these images, we're looking at animals here. So were you saying that the Naxi tradition is from the very beginnings very closely connected to nature, that the relationship with nature was very important to the Naxi people, yeah?
Absolutely, yes, definitely. Our Dongbao religion teaches people to believe in nature and worship nature god named Su. So in this slide, you will see Su god on the top of this water font. We teach people those concepts through many religious ceremonies and script. We believe that human and wildlife are sisters and brothers who both rely on Mother Nature for our survivals and prosperities. Naxi people have been practicing some wonderful traditional rules, such as protecting water sources like this. And you will see here, there are some rules for using this very clear water and not to cut the forest, not to hunting wild animals. Our people also ascribe all human disasters to disrespectful nature. If you don't respect nature, we believe you will be punished some way, somehow, when time is right. So really nature is in the very center of our traditional culture.
Fascinating. And here's your town, Lijiang, right?
Yes, and also Dongba sculpture records the origin of human beings and also talking about relationship between human and nature. Yeah, this is my hometown, Lijiang. Yeah,
so,
you can
so
see
Rose,
the
some of your yeah, Lijiang is so beautiful. Some of your China's earliest environmental activities were in Yunnan, right? So how did it all begin?
Yes. Yes, I personally believe there are two reasons, mostly. First, Yunnan has the richest biodiversity in China and maybe even in the world due to its very unique geological history. Because Yunnan is located in southeast slope of Himalaya mountain range, which is the roof of the world, right?
Yep.
And Yunnan became a refugee of so many wild plants and animals during the Earth's ice ages. That's why Yunnan enjoys so much wildlife and animals. For example, number of wild plants we can find in Yunnan is a lot more than total number of plants we can find in the whole Northern American continent.
Wow.
You can find a tropical forest in southern part of Yunnan, bordered with Myanmar and Laos, but also in the northwest and northeast, you can find the towering snow mountains bordered with Tibet. Mm-hmm. Those very diversified landscape also are homes to many, many wildlife and wild plants.
Mm-hmm. So just to jump forward, I'm fascinated to learn more about what's happening in China today. So you've had 40 years of incredibly rapid development, right? Which has also led to pollution problems. And now there's this really fast growing environmental movement in China. And I'm really curious, Rose, if you could tell us a little bit, is it coming from the top down or is it from the grassroots up? Tell us about this new interest in the environment.
Yeah, I believe it's both. It's a combination of bottom-up movement by people and also top-down leadership from start from President Xi Jinping, but also the whole Chinese government. After 40 years of rapid economic development, combined with huge population base of Chinese people, it really imposed heavy environment impact on the natural resources and pollutions, and very, very serious water and air pollutions cause a lot of sickness and even deaths of people. So people can no longer bear that kind of environment cost. So people realize we need to start not only restore destroyed nature and really clean up the polluted water and the soil and air, but at the same time really protect not very many remaining natural heritage. Otherwise the future of the country are in danger.
Yep. Yeah. Now, I mean, I know that there's environmental education in the schools and a real growing movement, and we'll see going forward. Let's talk a little bit about the work that the Paulson Institute is doing. The next slide, I think, will show. Well, there you are with the great Hank Paulson. But let's look at the next slide, which is showing us a little bit about the wetlands. So you're doing a lot of work with Chinese scientists on the wetlands in China, right?
Yes. Right after I joined the Paulson Institute in 2013, the first priority project we took is looking at eastern coast of China, which is home to 40% of Chinese population and 60% of country's GDP. Heavy impact and pressure on the ecosystem there. And people think biodiversity is in the West, in the remote areas, but actually coastal regions are also home to many, many lives, like this slide shows, so many migratory birds, flying in East Asia flyway. Actually, the flyway include 22 countries, and China coast is very, very important stopover site for those migratory birds. If we fail protecting those stopover sites, those birds will extinct. So we decided to fill conservation gap in China at that time to develop blueprint for China's coastal wetland conservation and restoration. And I'm very proud to say that we are very successful in persuading Chinese government and people to strengthen the conservation of coastal wasteland.
Yep. And that blueprint that you worked on so hard was really the first ever sort of real scientific mapping of the importance of those wetlands all along the coast, right? And inland as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And that blueprint also influenced a government decision to stop all the land reclamation in the coastal region. So it's a wonderful achievement. We're
amazing.
very proud of.
So let's talk about the national parks. Our next photograph, I think, we'll look at, there you go. So Rose, tell us about this wonderful project where you're bringing Chinese scientists to the States.
Yeah. And, from 2015, we learned that Chinese government decided to establish a system of national parks. And I talked with Hank, and he's very supportive of the idea that we support Chinese government for that great effort, because US is the first country established national parks and has the best national park system. So we believe this is a wonderful topic where China and US can work together and learn from each other. So since then, we implemented many projects, including 18 research projects, covering almost all aspects of establishment and management of national parks. And we also took 4 groups of Chinese key decision makers to the US, not only do 1 week in classroom training, but also took them to all those iconic national parks in the US, have exchanges with US Park Service folks. So this is a photo from one of the 4 trips in the past years.
So wonderful. So let's look, I think there you see the results. So this is China's first national park, right?
Yes. This is the largest national park palettes in the Tibetan plateau called the Sanjiangyuan National Park palette. Sanjiangyuan means the source water for 3 big rivers, Yangtze River, Mekong River, and also Yellow River, started from here. Very important ecologically for China and Asia.
And this was a result of lots and lots of work. Let's look at the next slide. I know that you took trips to the Tibetan region. I guess it's on the border of Tibet, right? Right near Tibet?
In the Tibet. It's in the Qinghai province, which is also Tibetan people. And I took 5 American experts and a few Chinese officials to do independent evaluation for this national park palette in Qinghai. And this is another photo from that wonderful trip. We spent 10 days in the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau, driving thousands of miles.
Wow. And I know that one of the big challenges that, of course, every country deals with when dealing with the national parks questions and trying to conserve nature, et cetera, is the balance between what the people need in terms of their economic, their income, right? And their livelihood and protecting nature. So I know you've done a lot of work on that as well.
Yeah. We've done a lot of work. We realize in China, establishment of nature cannot exclude local people. So you have to consider the balance between, protecting natural heritage, but also taking care of local people's livelihood, let local people benefit from national parks, for example. So in this Sanjiangyuan National Parks, 17,000 local Tibetan people are hired as a community ranger.
Wow.
To support the management of this huge park, which is equivalent of 3 or 4 Yellowstone National Park in size. It's huge area in Tibetan.
That is spectacular. And I have to throw in that it's also the place where the snow leopard still exists. Is that right?
Snow leopard are still living there, and also some other wonderful wildlife. Yes,
fabulous.
And so the wetlands.
There you go. That's okay. So Rose, you got to tell. This is this great award that you received. Tell us about that. So that was you were named the one of Asia's 25. Is it I think top rising stars? And there you are receiving the award. right?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
thank you. Yeah, 2003, I was named by Business Weeks as one of the 25 stars of Asia. And
So
President Clinton gave the award in Hong Kong
very
to us.
wonderful. Okay, so we've got one more slide that really leads us to our final question. I think we're going to go a little bit over time, but which is wonderful. So, you know, in terms of man's relationship with nature, I'm really curious as to whether you think there are things we can still learn today from Naxi traditions.
Mhm. Yeah, so you know the core element of Naxi tradition and our religious belief is that humans should respect nature and live in harmony with nature. And this core concept, I think, definitely applying to all human beings living in this planet. Well, you know, either Chinese or foreigners. And today, not only China's ecological civilization, led by top leadership, put nature in the center of this movement of, you know, ecological civilization, but also many years ago, about 100 years ago, actually, some Westerners went to Yunnan and my hometown and southwest part of China, not to only explore the great natural wonders there, but also to learn about traditional cultures. I would like to give two examples. Number one is, you know, Quentin Roosevelt, grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt, went to Yunnan, went to Lijiang in 1939, and he spent 4 months in my hometown, learn about Donghua culture. And this picture is one of the script he brought back to the US. Second person is very famous explorer, Joseph Rock.
Yes.
National Geographic Society actually sponsored a long-term trip for him to go to southwest part of Yunnan, of China. And he spent most of his time in China, 27 years, maybe half of his time living in Lijiang, in my hometown. And he brought back a lot of plant species, Donghua sculptures, and so on and so forth. And he wrote a few books about that region, its culture, and so on and so forth. And I believe some of the scripts are exhibited in Rubin Museum of Art and some other US museums. Yep. So I hope this cultural heritage can teach all of us about how to live in harmony with nature.
Rose, what a beautiful way to end our conversation. We are so grateful to you, and you are truly a force of nature in the truest sense of the word, a force of nature. So I want to thank you so much, and thank you all for tuning in today. This has been one of our most popular pieces of China so far. I can tell you that, Rose. I wanted to let you know that we're going to take a little hiatus for the rest of August, but then in September, we're going to pick up Pieces of China again with Melinda Liu, who is a long, long time journalist who's lived in Beijing for about 30 years. And she's going to talk about the imperial kilns outside of Beijing and the ceramic tiles that they make. So until we talk about that, please tune in. Please join as members, because your membership allows us to bring brilliant speakers like Rose New to our screen and our stage. So we're very grateful for you for tuning in. And Rose, again, thank you so much. There is a question. Someone's asking how they can get in touch with you. So Rose, how should people get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you. My email address is rniu@paulsoninstitute.org. You're welcome to reach out to me. And Dinda, I want to thank you again. And thanks for China Institute for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
Well, the work you're doing is so important. So thank you, Rose, again, and come back soon.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.